There we go. Okay, good morning, everyone. We're here for the Village of Airmont for Community Design Review Committee, Tuesday, January 9th at 11:04. We have one agenda item, 39 Besson Parkway LLC, located at 39 Besson Parkway and 72 Muncie Heights Road, for construction of a residence and a residential house of worship. We have proposed site plan and architecturals. I did ask the applicant, who will be updating the application, because at the time of submission, he did not have an attorney, but it's Mr. Baum, who is on with us, so he will send that page for going forward. I don't know if you want to start, Paul, or if someone else is going to start.
No, I'll start. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So
Morning, Paul.
this is the initial presentation of this proposal. Originally, a building permit was issued for the lots to construct an addition for a single-family house. The applicant has now decided that a residential house of worship would work well with their plans. So the application before you is to do just that. I hope you got the building plans as well, so you see the layout of the basement and the first floor. The plans need to be updated by Paul Gdansky. I'm looking, he last prepared these plans a year or so ago. Since that time, the architecturals have been modified a little bit so that we need to, bring up to speed some of the numbers. And John, as you pointed out in your memo, this lot line disclaimer was already done. The lot line was disclaimed. I have the disclaimer that was filed with the county clerk that I can provide you. So right now it's all one lot.
Gotcha.
And I think it's lot 30, they consider it lot 33 is the official tax lot designation.
So I guess I'll just interject right there. Then one of my comments. So I think on the site plan, it still shows as like lot line to be deleted. So you can actually physically remove that and update all the maps, because right now it's referring to two separate parcels. It's one tax parcel now, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Yes, you are. That I agree. We have to do that. We have to update the maps, remove all those references, and reflect the proper tax lot number.
Okay. So going through my planning comments very quickly, this is an unlisted action under seeker, and we will need a seeker resolution of public hearing. And I should have included in there, but this would classify as a coordinated review. So at some point in time, we need to send our notice of intent to be lead agency to the appropriate agencies that are involved. Moving on to comment 2, that does involve more than just local Village of Airmont agencies and Rockland County Health, Sewer Department, DEC, because we do have a stormwater pollution prevention plan requirement. There may be some others, but in the EAF, we do need to include those agencies so that when it comes time to circulate, we will have the agencies that we are required to send to. I'm not going to go through all of them in depth. We do need a fire truck access maneuverability plan, traffic study we're recommending. It's a fairly large facility for the lot. I'm identifying 6 variances. I think in the application there's 3, and 3 are apparently pre-existing, but we are changing the use on the property. And I'm under the impression, and Chris can correct me if I'm wrong, that when the use changes, the variances have to be secured for all variances that are required, not just building size and so forth, but side yards, front yards, and whatever else is applicable.
So John, that's one that we'd like to get clarification from Lou, because there is an existing house at 39 Beeson Parkway. This is a residence, and it's going to be an addition to a single-family house. And that's where the deficiency is. It's the 39 Beeson Parkway, the existing structure is 33.1 feet. So it's an existing condition that's not being created by this application. So, and with regard to the front setback, the front yard to, Beeson Parkway, those are existing, as well as the lot width.
As I've suggested in the past, if there is an existing pre-existing variance issue, while we're getting the other variances, we just list them in there. And in this case, the house it's tough because the accessory that you're building is actually larger than the house. So I don't know if the house is the principal structure at this point anymore.
Well, the basement of the new addition is part of the residential component.
They're still going to use the basement as a residential component. I thought it was going to become classrooms.
No. No, the building plans show the residential component is about, I have the number here. It's about 2191 square feet of the basement is being used for the residential. So, which is why my point was, it's a single family dwelling. It's an existing non-conforming. It's continuing to be used as a single family dwelling. I mean, I'll list them, but I didn't think we would need a variance for that. So, but we'll list them as.
What's the total square footage of the house of worship?
Well, the numbers I have. Well, okay. I just got some numbers from the architect today. So let me give you this. In the basement, Lou, you guys want to write this stuff down? And in the basement, the library is 1,417 square feet. The residential portion is 2,191 square feet. And the remainder of the space that has the warming kitchen and the storage and the mikveh is 2,247 square feet. So that brings the basement in at 5,855.
Right.
When we go to the first floor, the main sanctuary is 1,665 square feet. The woman's section is 1,131 square feet. The library is 982 square feet. And all the remainder of that first floor space is 2,055 square feet.
Wow.
So I come up with 11,688 total, not including the breezeway to the house.
So I guess my question or comment is, so the existing building that's there does have pre-existing setbacks, but that building is being torn down completely, correct?
No,
No, it's not.
the one on 39 Beeson Parkway is remaining.
Okay, so if I'm understanding it correctly, and I may have misunderstood, the new building that's taking down the old building, 3 of the variances apply to the existing building that's going to remain, that's on the other road, on Benson. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
that changes things, because I was under the impression that those pre-existing variances were applying to the new building.
No.
That's not true.
They're
No,
on the
it's
house on Besson.
No, those are existing conditions,
Which you're not changing.
which we're not changing.
That's on which property?
That's on the house that's at 39 Beeson.
At 39 Besson, okay.
So, with regard to the other side of the lot, the Muncie Heights
Right.
Road, and that was formerly 70, I think it was 72 Muncie Heights Road.
Right.
My understanding, that house has already been raised, correct, Lou?
House is gone.
Yeah, so that house is gone.
All right,
So
that's
the
small.
variances that we really need relate to that lot for the parking. So we have 1.2 feet for the side yard and 1.4. We call it a rear yard because it's the rear yard to 39 Beeson Parkway, but it's the side yard if you're on Muncie Heights Road, so to speak. You know what I mean? So we've labeled it a rear yard because we're taking everything from Beeson Parkway. But either way,
Well, that may change things to 3 variances instead of 6. So I still would defer to Chris and or Rob to verify that. If you're not touching the buildings, that may very well be the case.
Yeah.
But the building does. My comment 6. I mean, I put it in there. I mean, the building is basically being built almost up to the property lines. That it should be tried to be scaled down to be something that's more complies with zoning. So from a planning perspective, that's my comment, and I think that portion of the comment still needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, the building meets all the setbacks. It's only the parking that we need variances for.
Okay, and what is the required and what is the proposed? Because I thought you had 48 spaces proposed.
We have 53 proposed.
53.
According to the parking calculation, and we got to go through this and look at it, but I think it's going to change. 48 are required. We're proposing 53.
So you don't need a parking variance.
So if you look at the structure itself, we meet the side setback and the rear setback. And we meet the yard requirements. So it's only the parking that gives us the issue of the side and rear yard variance that we need. And the other thing I wanted clarification for Lou and Chris is, if you look on Muncie Heights Parkway, we measured, we're asking for an 11-foot front yard variance over there because the road, the travel lane, I should say, is 11 feet to the front yard. But if I recall, you're allowed to drive in a yard, you just can't park in a yard. So wouldn't the appropriate measurement be from the designated street line to the parking? And that would give us 21 feet, not 11 feet. You see what I'm talking about?
Sorry, I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah, let me,
Which road is it that we're looking at?
Muncie Heights.
if you look from
Muncie
Muncie
Heights.
Heights, can I share my screen a second, Suzanne?
Yes, let me just update it. Go ahead.
Okay. Share screen. Screen 2. Okay, so here's the Muncie Heights Road. Can you see my mouse
I can.
where I'm pointing to the 11.1 feet?
Mhm.
So, but that's measured to this travel road. The parking obviously is not till back here, but on this side up here, here's the first parking space. And if we take 21 feet to the designated street line, I think that should be what our relief is, not the 11.
What is the requirement minimum?
Well, the required front yard, I think, is 35. But you have a prohibition about parking in the front yard. You're allowed to park in a side or a rear yard. You can't park in the front. So I think it's the parking space that creates the need for the variance, not that travel road that is measured as 11 feet off the designated street line.
Okay.
So I think we need the 21-foot variance, not the 11-foot variance.
I'm going to defer to Lou, but I'm looking at one of the illustrated zoning images from the zoning code, and it comports with what you're saying, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I think I recall that we can always, you're allowed to drive in the yard, but you can't park in the yard. That's what
Just, I'm looking at it now and it's residential, and in this image, there's a driveway leading to a garage in the back with the parking, and the side setback is from the fence to the house, not the end of the driveway to the house, or the closest edge of the driveway to the house. I'm sorry, it's from the house to the fence, not from the closest edge of the driveway to the adjoining property to the fence.
So that would be our four, and the development coverage obviously is a big one. So those would be our four variances.
Pardon my coughing.
And you know, that's the project in a nutshell. I realize we're gonna need to make a formal submission for site plan. We'll respond to all these issues when we do. So I want to get as much information to you with the first submission for the formal site plan application.
Paul, I just wanted to verify the four variances are developmental coverage, side and rear setback, and parking?
And front yard for parking to Muncie Heights Road.
Front yard for parking to Muncie Heights Road. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I see. I mean, if Lou sees something else, I'd be, happy to discuss it with him, and if we need it, we'll add it.
Parking are off based on the numbers you gave me for the house of worship, though.
So what do you think the parking calculation should be?
Well, you have 11,688 square feet is the total house, the total addition of the house of worship.
Right.
Minusing the residential, you're looking at about 40 something spaces based on 200 square feet. But the two worship areas are 1665 and 1131, which is 2,796 square feet divided by 1.5, which is tables and chairs, is 186 congregants divided by 3 is 62 parking spaces.
All right, so I looked at the code again this morning just before we came on, and it specifically says in 210-12.1, B2 says the floor area per person for a residential place of worship shall be calculated as 20 square feet per person. And I know we had this conflict also, I think, when it's Rabbi Steinmersel's project.
Right.
We had to do it as 15 feet because I guess, Lou, table and chairs is one calculation, and
State code is tables and chairs.
so the 20 square feet is what? If it's just like a pew?
No, the 20 square feet, if the code states 20 square feet, it's what they're using as a basis. They're not following the state code. So normally in the house of worship, there's tables and chairs.
Yeah.
I mean, standing room only is 7 feet. We could say it's standing room only and say there's 500 people in there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just wanted to get that squared away because I know every time it comes up, it's a question of, how many square feet per person and which.
Well, even at 20, you're looking at 140 people, 139.8.
Right, and I think that's what he has on his plan.
No, he has 137.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, he's off a little bit, and I said that we have to clear up some of the numbers because we gotta have Paul's plans conform to the most recent architecturals.
Yeah,
Also,
the FAR too, then.
we've been asking on site plans with, assembly of people, congregants, to please state the maximum number of congregants so that we know, or we have an idea of the maximum number of people. I think Lou's plan assumes that the applicant may want the maximum number of people permitted by New York State building code in the building, when in fact, you may have a maximum number of congregants that are significantly less potentially than what New York State code says you're allowed to have in the building. So that's why we've been asking for that note to be on the plan, so it gives us a better idea of exactly how many people will be at this facility.
We'll give you a schedule like we do with the other applications that shows, what days they're having services and how many congregants are expected at the services. So that, and that's needed for the traffic impact report. So we'll provide all that information. But I'm just trying to get straight in my mind this 20 square foot, 15 square foot issue. So, I mean, is it possible, Lou, that 15 square foot per person with tables and chairs is for the purposes of determining what the maximum occupancy load is from a building and fire standpoint, right? And that's the sign you're going to put up in the synagogue, that
Exactly.
this room may not be occupied by any more than so many people.
Correct.
So that's for the 15. But for the purposes of determining the parking requirement and the number of spaces that we need, should we be using the 20?
According to our code, we should, until we change it.
Yeah, okay.
So we're using the 20, Lou?
Obviously.
Okay,
Yeah, well, I mean, we're using the 20 for the purposes of determining parking. If the building code says the occupancy load is 15, then he'll put up the appropriate occupancy load. And if they overcrowd the building,
Parking that's designed, I'm guessing they're estimating a huge traffic, a huge traffic load. So you wouldn't plan on parking and pavement unless you thought you needed it.
Well, Lou, I'm looking at 210 12.1B3, wouldn't that apply, that there's one parking space for every 200 square feet?
Correct. But it's 200 square feet gross.
Okay.
It's one or the other. Whichever is the higher number.
Okay.
And the gross would take into account everything but the supposed residential section in the basement.
Okay.
200 square feet gross, excluding residential. And then we add the 2 for the residential.
Which you have here, don't you? You have a residential, you have 2725 square feet at 200 per space.
Yeah, but he didn't use the whole, he's just using this 2725 square feet, which I think he's just using the sanctuary.
Right, that's not correct.
Right. We got to do it on the entire addition that's dedicated to the house of worship, including the mikvah and the libraries and the storage.
Correct. Everything that goes with the classrooms, any of that counts as the entire house of worship.
Right. Okay.
And this would need to go to ARC.
Yes.
Okay, that's per our code. I just wanted to point that out.
One road or both?
What was that, Lou?
Will the traffic study be done on one road or both?
Well, it looks like it's all coming in off Muncie Heights Road, so I would assume we're just going to do it from there because we're not changing the parking layout for the single family home.
And there's no way that anybody from the new facility can get to, am I saying it right, Benson?
Yes, there is
Besson.
actually. There's an entrance on the side from Besson.
Yeah, but that's the driveway for the single family home.
I'm not saying they're parking there. They could park all the way up and down the street, but you could still enter the house of worship from that entrance.
Yeah, but the
That's a dead
parking
end.
lot is only oriented for vehicles to enter and exit through Muncie Heights Road, not through Beeson Parkway.
Okay, well, the only reason I'm asking is if we have 60 cars in the parking lot and nobody has any place else to park and they know they could park on Besson, are we going to have lines of cars going up and down the dead end street that is Besson?
Well, I hope not.
So do I.
I hope not, but you know, we'll get the numbers on the proposed number of congregants and we'll ask the traffic consultant what he thinks. So, and I'll find out from the client whether they intend to allow congregants to park over in his driveway for overflow parking if it's needed.
That driveway's gonna be his driveway. He doesn't have a garage, so he has a couple of cars parked in there, but
Yeah, we're eliminating the garage.
that garage has been gone for years.
It's gone. Okay.
You have a lighting plan?
One other comment, if you could just have Paul just remove, if the buildings are gone, they're not there, take them right off the plan, not to be removed, not to be destroyed, but they're physically not there, take them right off the site plan.
Yep, I agree. I mean, I think he did this plan before
Okay.
the building was demolished, at least the house. I'm not sure about the garage, but
I've
yeah,
never
well,
seen this plan actually with the parking on it, so. Because originally this was gonna be a basketball court and a place for the grandchildren to play. It became a house of worship after construction started.
right. Well, obviously the plan now is to build is to turn a portion of the addition into a house of worship instead of dedicating it all towards residential use.
Got it.
Okay, I'm looking just at the rest of your comments, John. 8's okay. 9 will do that. 10 will deal with SHPO. And all their engineering comments appear to be
Yeah, I do, would
problems.
like to state that I appreciate the fact that he submitted a SWIP, initially, as opposed to 4 or 5 submittals down the road, along with a lighting and landscaping plan, so that's good. However, under the SWIP, in reviewing it, he's proposing some bioretention to meet his state requirements for runoff reduction and water quality volume, but it doesn't really show anything on the plan. And then under your lighting and landscaping, there is a landscaping plan, but when you look at the planning schedule, it's like entirely different. It doesn't match the number of plantings. There's some plantings that are shown in the landscape that aren't shown on the actual landscaping plan. So the planning schedule and the actual landscaping plan are off considerably. So I think you need to check that out. Those are the two main things of the a lot of the other stuff is, some calculations on pipe sizing and water service lines and footing basements and footing and basement drains, erosion sediment control. Probably the normal stuff.
We'll update the plans and clean some stuff up. I'm looking at an as-built plan, the existing conditions plan that was last revised April 3rd, and it's still showing that garage. Lou, you're saying the garage has been gone for a couple of years?
Garage is definitely gone. Have you been to the site?
No, but I'm just looking at the survey from April of 2023, and it shows the garage.
That garage is gone. The garage in the house was gone years ago. The garage in the yard was gone before they ever started shoveling the ground.
All right.
Now,
All right.
that runs into my next question. Since we're still fixing this and solidifying this, what do we do with construction that's ongoing?
What do you do with construct? I don't know what you mean. Right now he's building the addition pursuant to the approved plans for residential use. If this project doesn't get approved and he's not allowed to use it for a house of worship, he'll continue to use it for the manner in which the building permit was issued.
Okay.
Obviously, he can't deviate from those plans until, further approvals are granted.
Is it the same size or a different size?
It's the same size footprint.
Okay.
It's the same. I haven't seen the construction plans for the house. But from what I understand, the footprint and everything else on the side, the only thing that's changing is that the interior space is being converted to the house of worship use instead of for residential use. Okay.
So I'm gonna recommend that we come back to another CDRC. Try
Thank
to
you. I was
tidy up as many of
asking
these.
that question. Okay. Another CDRC. Okay.
Try to tidy up as many of these comments as possible. Maybe by then we'll have a traffic study that we can look at, or the traffic consultant can look at.
The only thing that's been weighing on me a little bit, we are not, and I am not the Earmont ZBA attorney. I have no idea what Dan would suggest to his board, but the boards I have represented, when they're pre-existing non-conforming, I often have them included, and we just the board just rubber stamps them, because the factors heavily weigh in favor of granting the variance, and that way the variance is granted and you don't have to deal with it down the road.
That's what we've done in the past, honestly.
Yeah, okay, so Dan's probably of the same mind.
Pre-existing non-conforming as variance request to legalize.
Yeah. I mean, the self-created difficulties prong of the analysis is non-existent, so
No,
it's,
I understand. If you want to handle it that way, that's fine. We'll list it. We'll identify that it was a pre-existing use, but we're seeking to confirm it as a variance request since we're going to the ZBA anyway.
I have never suggested any of my boards deny a pre-existing non-conforming, so.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Lou?
No.
Chris?
Not for me.
Okay.
Do you know who the traffic consultant's gonna be yet?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it would be good if we had it for the next CDRC, but I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll
All
speak
right.
to the client and we'll get things moving.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Paul. Thanks, everyone.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.